All right. Welcome back to another episode of Teed Up. I'm still the host of my own show. I haven't fired myself yet. The prop bets are out on how long I will remain host of my own show. But today we are joined by a very special guest. You might recognize his voice. It's smooth, it's sensual, it's all the right things. We got Mike Raymond in the building.
Good evening, Tyler. Thanks for having me. And
you hear that? Do you hear that smooth? I want the. If you're listening out there, you hear that? That's what it. That you hear my like whiny, whiny comedian voice. You're listening to a real radio guy here, everybody.
So listen, like the microphone's doing all the work. I'm just kind of back here as like a marionette, you know?
Yeah. I'm just reading off the prompter. Do you ever read off the prompter in radio world?
No, it's really organic in radio world. It's kind of it's like stream of consciousness, whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Which kind of could get you in trouble with the SEC if you can't.
Yeah.
So
there's that. There's that whole no call to action rule, right?
Listen, I've only ever had to use the dump button once when I was a producer, and it was Mike Tyson.
Oh man.
So, yeah.
Wait. So you mean like dump as in you just drop him from the call?
I didn't drop him from the call. So the way it works is we got this delay that's built into the broadcast. Any live broadcast, we built in an 8-second delay. So what happens is if there's a slip up or anything like that, like you quick hit the dump button, and that cuts out the last 4 seconds of whatever just happened.
Okay.
If it happens again, you can hit it one more time, but it takes time to ramp back up. So. Yeah, we had to use it a few times with Mike Tyson. I wasn't doing the interview. I just kind of like pre-screened the call. This is back like when I first started in radio. But he was like, "Are we allowed to swear on this?"
Yeah. Please.
Well, I mean,
it's encouraged.
I think my boss, Tom Fallon, he goes, "Yeah, like we got to bring you on. We got to ask you about, the Holyfield thing, and obviously we need to."
What do you mean? Well,
no, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. He goes, "Man, you remember that shit?"
Yes, Mike.
Yes,
you bit somebody's ear off. Yeah, you remember that small piece in sports history where you ate a man's ear? Yeah, we remember this, Mike Tyson.
So that was like one of like several expletives that kind of came flying out of the mouth of Mike Tyson. But listen, we get to tell the story now. People still enjoy it as one of my go-to, stories when I talk about my job.
That's a good dinner party story. That tops a lot of dinner party stories. Like, that story was great at your accounting job.
Yeah,
I got sworn at by Mike Tyson. You remember that time he bit a van? It's like, yes. But what a comeback he's had, huh? Mike T.
I mean, speaking of, sitting here on the podcast world, like he's got his own little podcast thing going on. And
I just saw Saquon was on it.
Yeah, Saquon was on it. I mean, my brother's like all into it. He keeps telling me, he's like, "Oh, did you see this Tyson thing?" I'm like, dude, I have so many podcasts that I go after. Like my content window is just shrunk, because obviously time is of the essence anymore. But yeah, man, he's doing his thing out there. And when you're signing up for entertainment, it's pure entertainment when it comes to Tyson. Mm-hmm. So you gotta love.
He's profound. I don't know if it's it seems sincere, but I was watching the Saquon episode and he's like being super profound, and I'm like where this guy came from. Like I watch old YouTube clips of him saying the most awful things to people, and now he's on his own podcast being like prophetic.
Yeah, I mean, like "Stomp on your testicles" has come out of like "Stomp on your kids' testicles" have come out of his mouth.
Yeah, now he's just like giving advice to young people.
But think about it. You think about what he's been through in his life, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you think about his view on the world, it's got to be so unique, and he's had time to reflect and look inward.
Really, really, what a career! Like, he was the heavyweight champion of the world, and then he went. There was somewhat of a downfall, a pretty rapid down, and he bit a guy's ear. That's the thing he did. But then he started a movie. He was in he didn't star in it. He was a very in Hangover. Was that 2?
He was in 2 and 3, I believe.
Yeah, 2 and 3, and very memorable. 1 and 2.
Two out of the 3 he was in.
Yeah, he was in 2 out of whatever it was. But I was going to say memorable roles, but I kind of forgot. So I guess I kind of contradicted myself. But yeah, he's had a wild run.
Yeah, I mean,
speaking of wild runs, we have to talk about. We are recording this. It is February 23rd,
right?
And we have to kind of. It's a golf podcast. There's an elephant in the room. Tiger Woods was in a car accident today. He's going to be okay.
I mean, yeah, it sounds like it, and you hope the best. You don't want to ever see a great like that get injured. And listen, I hate to be that guy, but like automatically your head goes to the worst places,
right?
Like, yeah, and you're like, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. You hear the circumstances. You obviously pray for the health first of all, and it's just another chapter in a long story for Tiger because as much as he's done on the course, his life and the saga of his life have been so. Wow, there's different chapters, and
right.
And he's done so much for the game of golf, and just the guy's just one of the greatest of all time. That term GOAT, right? Especially with Tom Brady just winning the Super Bowl, that gets thrown out so much.
Yeah,
but he truly is, and the numbers prove it. And I look at this as just another roadblock on the way to beat Jack, I'm cheering so hard for him for that to happen.
Right. You don't think that's out of the cards. I mean, it's very early to tell. We don't know what the extent of the injuries, but this is, I mean, because Tiger, like the comeback, speaking of Tyson comeback, Tiger's comeback is maybe the most insane sports comeback in all of time, right? Because he was like at the bottom of the barrel, and then this is why I think Tiger's the GOAT. And I get into this argument. I think Tiger's the GOAT across sport. I think he's the best professional athlete, regardless of sport. Michael Phelps, you can make an argument for just because of his dominance. But like Tiger Woods dominated, then fell from grace all the way to the bottom. And then he came back. But what he did was he inspired these players. Like he inspired like Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas. They credit him. Brooks Koepka should be a linebacker in the NFL.
Right.
But he wanted to play golf because he watched Tiger. And now Tiger, beats these guys that were inspired by him. That's crazy to me.
Well, you're only looking through the lens of golf too. Like you got to look outside the world of golf and what his impact was, on Nike, just having that whole line of golf and just being able to cross over into so many different areas. And I don't know. He's, it's tough because superstardom brings you under the microscope so much. And his life is not, you can't compare him, right? You can't compare him to any other golfer on the tour because he is just in a pressure cooker at all times. and he can't, whether he's competing or not, his judgment, you got to be, I don't envy Tiger, what I mean? There's so much.
And even today, like on the news, it was a serious car accident, but I found myself being kind of in awe of they wouldn't cut away from his car, right? So now there's a constant image of his crashed car, constant updates. So it shows you this is just a guy that got into a car accident. I mean, it's a serious one, but there's hundreds of thousands. I mean, I don't know the statistic. There's probably thousands of car accidents a day, but we're watching the aftermath of this one all day long. And everybody's just glued to the TV and I think it is because of that story that you mentioned. We have this, I don't know if it's a desire or need for the story. I don't know if people are thirsty for the downfall too. I've heard a couple people say how, they're not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's on drugs, he's drunk, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, until that stuff comes back, we don't know. And you just you have to wish for his health, but that's part of the story too, right?
Well, for Tiger, really, you see the image of the crash car, and that's obviously going to be the thing that gravitates. And and we're also in that COVID world too, right? So as soon as anything in
COVID-19, you're referencing COVID-19.
Correct. Yes. 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 That
That would be what
COVID-19.
Mike Tyson would be like, pretend to not. You guys remember COVID-19?
Right. Right. Well, that thing that kind of has been sticking around for the last calendar year. So no, and like in the news cycle, and think about just a year ago with Kobe Bryant, we're going to be continuing. We're going to be continuing to watch the image of that crash site the same way the helicopter crash site was focused on with Kobe Bryant, and when I just think about all the things that it could possibly be, it doesn't do me any justice to do that right now. Like I just, you have to in the moment remember that this is a human being with, 2 kids and people who care about him. And, you have to remember that and take the whole, whatever drama you have out of it.
Right.
And it's so interesting because, and I'm not sure if you caught it yet, but that HBO documentary that just came out with him. Did you catch that? I mean, it's just another chapter that could be added into that. And the rise of what he was. Remember what he was in that documentary, that was portrayed as just a young, innocent guy that had to grow up in the limelight and, under the scrutiny of his father and what that did to him. And, there's a lot of the mental side of things that people don't really even talk about. It made him what he was, in a great competitor and detail oriented and one of the best there ever was. But there's also other things that quote unquote trauma can do to you away from.
Oh, sure.
The world of golf.
Yeah. And you try to I mean, this guy, he's in a hospital somewhere. He's probably in a lot of pain, physical pain. But then if it was me, knowing the media scrutiny that you've been under, basically for as long as you can remember, there's got to be a part of you that's laying there thinking like, what are they saying? What are the people, and that's got to factor into, I couldn't imagine being like confined to a hospital bed, knowing that the whole world was speculating on what was going on, or, he knows more than anybody, maybe, who knows what was going on, but man, it's just like, you just kind of feel for him that all this is happening, in the time
that he's supposed to focus on himself and the care for himself. That's what he has to think about.
Yeah.
And it's, it comes with the territory, the sex addict and, the things that went on with Elin and, but again, I don't like talking about that when it comes to Tiger Woods, because it really does take away from how great he is and was on the course. Like, the guy was unbelievable. And I still have, I will, and I wasn't there, but I still have the Masters flag from 2019 hanging in my office. And
dude.
Like, you have to have that, like, and remember that, and the emotion that went into that, and him hugging his son when he's walking off 18, just unbelievable. That's the thing that I choose to think about.
Yeah, that was like, I mean, I shouldn't say this, I get emotional. I could get emotional during a commercial, especially lately. Like, I don't know if this happens to you, but like that Masters win, like, was super special. Like, it was like, because I've always been a Tiger fan, and there was a time period where it almost felt like Tiger was my older brother that messed up, and I had to defend him because people would just trash on him, right? And you wouldn't have a leg to stand on because he messed up, but I still, would be like, no, he's not. He's a great guy. And at the time, people would just laugh, and then seeing him come back and winning again was like, it's vindication.
Well, and also the layers that go into that too. The layers of what he did, and he walked off 18 when was that, 1999 when he won? I believe, I can't remember. And he hugs his dad.
Yeah.
And just to be able to,
it's a Hollywood story. It's a Hollywood story,
right,
for sure.
For sure. But again, I wish Tiger nothing but the best, and and he'll be fine. Like, and this is going to be one other chapter to build on the legacy that is Tiger Woods, because what's going to happen is 10 months from now, he'll be fully recovered, back out on the course, and we're going to be completely in awe as to what he's able to do and put together on the course.
That's true. I hope that's going to be great. The comeback is going to be great. And you guys, your radio show, you're with Matt Marcus over at ESPN Radio.
Fox Sports.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I messed. Didn't he used to be? It was, right.
So we started out as ESPN Radio affiliate for the Lehigh Valley. So let's think about this. It was,
I think the last time I did it was still that.
It might have been. It might have been, and that just shows how long it's been since we've had you on.
I know. I must not have been I didn't move the needle.
It's been no. That's not true. That's not true. And nothing's better than having Tyler come on your show fresh off the golf course. Like that's like the. Oh wait, did you have to go to the golf course? Was that fresh off?
Well, it's a tales of two different Tylers coming from the golf course. When I'm going to the golf course, I'm very excited. Usually, when I'm coming from the golf course, I'm very angry with myself. So
yeah, reality slaps you in the face, and you just
yeah.
Like, oh man, why do I do this? But no, it's great. It was great to have you on, and we'll have to do it again soon. Yeah. But yeah, we changed formats to Fox Sports Radio, and you know it's great for us. You know, Fox is really moving the needle. They got a lot of great hosts, you know, nationally. So when we're not on the local side of things, you know, we can get our national content out there. You know, Colin Cowherd's huge out there, and just, you know, Pat. You know, it's been great. It's just been great to have Fox as the affiliate now, and you know, Matt is obviously one of our main hosts, and Matt and Tom Fallon as well, and I'm in there on a lot of local programs as well. So I'm kind of like third in the lineup, but I enjoy it.
Dude, that's like almost cleanup. You're almost batting cleanup.
I'm almost. Yeah, it's still a strong role, right?
Yeah,
I'm the first out of the pen or whatever.
You're a power hitter, but you're definitely batting in the first inning. There's nothing better than that.
Right. No, exactly. No, in Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., we have our show, St. Luke Sports Medicine Roundup, which we enjoy. We've had a lot of fun over the last 7 years doing that show. And I've been on pretty much every local show that the station offers. So it's been great. It's led me into a lot of other things. And
cool.
You know, it's nice. I don't really have to keep up my appearance. Like if I was in TV, I'd have to be doing like a 5K a day. Like I can't do that, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. This teed up. We're gonna be going over to Service Electric this spring.
Awesome.
So I gotta like lose 15 pounds. I gotta get back in like on camera shape, and that's just like, man, I was having a good time getting chubby. You know, I got a diet. But how much of your like your time there, how much do you guys spend talking about golf, and what do you notice about golf in the Lehigh Valley? Is it something that people, you know, are into? Like it seems to be changing a little bit.
So a couple things. I would think that most times for us, when we really focus on golf it would obviously be the majors.
Yeah,
we usually get somebody who's live on location to dial in Thursday, Friday of every major. And it's worked out great for us. You know, there is that interest around it. You know, I don't know if, you know, the Pebble Beach Pro-Am like 2 weeks ago, I'm not, you know, I'm not sure if we're talking about that. But when, you know, it's a mix. You know, being a Fox Sports Radio affiliate for the Lehigh Valley, it's, you know, you have a lot of different things. We're blessed in some ways because New York's a very close market. Philadelphia is a very close market. So we spend a lot of time with that. And obviously Pittsburgh being in Pennsylvania, we spend a lot of time with that. And then we have a responsibility, obviously, to cover some local sports too, because, you know, high school sports, and, you know, we are at Fox Sports Radio at a broadcast partner for the Iron Pigs and Lehigh Athletics. So, you know, those are some things that we do focus on, but golf does get some mentions throughout the year. We did have a golf program when we were ESPN. Mr. Mushlitz did that for many years. And listen, I think golf had a unique following. I think he did pretty well with that show, because I think, you know, not only his connections, but just it was kind of entertaining to hear him talk. And I think his wife would be on, you know, every once in a while. So it would be fun, but no, I wouldn't say like on a weekly basis golf comes up a lot. But, you know, as far as the Lehigh Valley, I think, you know, I think it's, and I'm not sure if you're referring to just playing, you know, golf in this area, but like, you know, I think we have some competitive high school teams out there.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
So, and I think that's one thing to put out there, but yeah, I think it's recreational mostly for people here in the Lehigh Valley.
And we don't have like we don't have like a pro event. I think maybe we will have, you know, Saucon will have a senior open, I think, next year. Right. But it's a different, you know, it's a different monster when the area can have a tour event, a PGA Tour event, or even like a Corn Ferry event. Because even the Lehigh Valley Amateur over at Green Pond, to me, that's like one of my favorite weeks of the year because, you know, John Kohlhammer and his staff over there, they make it as if it's a tour event. Like there's a gallery, there's like stands. It's cool. And if I could golf at all, I would want to play in that. I think that would be super fun to play in.
So one of the other hosts on Saturday morning, he shows right before mine. He's 7-9. His name's Bob Holder. I'm not sure if you know him.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so Bob, he'd be interesting to get on here as well. If you're looking for some content, because it kind of comes whatever he wants to say is what he says. But I believe he participates in that or has in the past. A very good golfer in and of itself. But yeah, I hear nothing but positive. I've never attended. I'm obviously not very good enough to be in that conversation. But yeah, no, I think if we had some traction there, and I'm not sure which course, obviously Saucon, for the seniors. And I think the LPGA made a stop here not too long.
Yeah, they play at Saucon too. They do. Right. I think the women, and I know Reading had an event.
Wasn't there another course near like the promenades that's no longer there? I think that was
Center Valley. You're right. Yeah, Center Valley did have an event. I think you're right.
I think it was the LPGA. I could be wrong, but I was maybe single digits back then when it came through the valley.
I do kind of know that.
Maybe we need to have just like a person that comes through here that just sets the world on fire, like a high school golfer that we can follow all the way up to that makes the tour.
Right.
Like, just like Saquon, did for the Whitehall High School. Like we need someone to follow.
Jordan Spieth was super. That's about as close as it gets.
That's a backdoor like association.
But
his parents were from here.
Yeah, his roots are right from here. They met at the Tally Ho. I don't know if that's where they met, but
it might have been the OBT. I think they were Moravian people,
or beer. It was Beer Bellies at the one time. All these bars have like changed names of different versions of beer has been in all the names, but they just. But yeah, Spieth's parents are from here. But you're right. We need like a Saquon level golfer, which is going to be hard to do because of the limited season that we have.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing too. Like I think there was a kid from Northwestern Lehigh. I'm blanking on his name. But he I think he was on the web.com tour for a while.
Cole Miller.
That's right. Yes.
Cole Miller. Yep. He's on the Canadian tour, the Mackenzie tour.
So that we need them to cross over. We need them to get to the next level. Yeah. I'd be all about that. Like we just have to have somebody here in the Lehigh Valley. So all you kids listening out there, that's your goal to put golf on the map for the Valley.
We need it. Well, how's your golf game? What's your golf game like?
So here's the extent of my golf game. And here's
this is my favorite way for people to answer this. Listen, man, let me tell you about my golf game. It's either going to go one of the two ways. You're going to brag or you're going to, be hard on yourself.
I started golf probably like 5-6 years ago, 7 maybe. I got one of the starter sets from Dick's Sporting Goods, it might have been $250 and still playing with that. So so let's start there. Okay.
We got to get Bob Holder to get you a set of golf clubs. That's
something.
The next move.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to. So obviously, you've seen my shirt here. It's got the Masters. I'm trying to get my cousin who works down at Augusta to hook it up. I'd like to be able. He's sponsored by somebody. Like, can I get like the back end clubs, the ones you're not using from like last year?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to have a conversation with him about that when he comes up. He only visits every once in a while. So
why would you come back here when you're down there? That's
right.
The Graceland.
Obviously. So I'd like to be able to upgrade at some point, but I think it'll be a piecemeal thing for a while. Like upgrade the bag slowly. I was going to get a new putter. I think I still might do that. I got some winnings from football season that I could allocate towards that. But I think maybe it might be better off investing in the club. But no, listen, I play a lot of tournaments, a lot of charity stuff. But really, I want to say this is the one thing that golf has done for me. It's given me sanity in the 2020/21 calendar year because that is what got me through the summer.
Really,
I was out at Bethlehem Muni, just hitting the driving range and playing the 9-hole, and I was out doing I do 18 with my buddies every once in a while. Try to do at least once every 2 weeks. I go out with my buddies, do full 18. but I really think for my own mental health, like that is what got me through 2020, because I was playing a lot of golf, and you could see incremental changes to the game getting better.
Yep.
I still haven't broken. I still haven't broken into the double digits yet.
Okay.
But it's getting closer. So
where you miss? Where are the like? What can you shave off to get down there? Where are you losing shots?
Driver.
Yeah. Spraying
driver.
it.
Yep, all over the place, inconsistent. And if I take something off to keep it straight, I'm losing a lot of distance.
Yeah.
So that's the balance. But I started out really good in my irons. Early on in my golf playing career with my irons, were really consistent. I'd still say they're probably the second best part of my game, but I'm really good on the green. Honestly, I've been playing a lot of just tournaments and stuff like that. And I think that's the only way that I contribute. Definitely not off the tee, but I can definitely contribute in the area of putting.
So if this Fox Sports Radio foursome scramble team,
yeah,
is it you, Bob, Holder?
Yeah, clearly. Bob's holding the whole container. I've never played with my boss, Tom. He's the program director, Tom Fallon. I've never played with him. I played with Matt Marcus. Matt Height used to work with us. Matt Height, he doesn't work with us anymore, but he's probably the best golfer out of us. He actually teaches golf.
Okay.
I think for the YWCA for the girls. And I'm not sure if he's still doing that, so don't quote me on that. But he's definitely the best golfer out of all of us. So we've played together, and I'm trying to think who else on Fox Sports Radio.
Mike, I got to be honest with you, man. It's not a good sign that your boss hasn't taken you golfing yet.
Well,
that means he knows your skill level, and he said, if I have a scramble, Mike's not getting the call. That means we got to get you at the range. Next season, you're going to surprise him.
Well, no, here's the thing. I don't think so. What happens is he'll play in the annual, like it's the Cumulus Open or whatever it is. He'll play in that annual tournament, and I'm the one who has to host a show in his place when he's coming off. But from what I understand, he is of equal skill level to Matt, who's just incrementally better than me, I would say.
Right. Okay. All right. So he tries to get some. If he's going to get a team together, he doesn't want the skill that he's at. He wants some higher level players.
I can't blame him for that.
No, I get it.
Bob Holder is definitely the first round draft pick in that Fox Sports Radio.
If he heard that, what would he? Would that help? Would he like to? He would probably like to hear that, right?
He would literally, yes. If you know Bob, that would just inflate his. I came in the one time I had a Titleist hat on because I was going golfing right after my show. So I come into the studio and he was like, "You can't wear that hat in here. You're not good enough to wear a Titleist hat."
Wait, he said you're not good enough to wear a Titleist hat.
He's never played with me, but let's separate from that fact that he's right.
No, well, there's levels of things. Like you couldn't wear a white belt. If you wear a white belt, that's a big no-no. You got to be like a scratch, or at least like a 2 handicap at most to wear a white belt. But wear a Titleist hat, come on, Bob.
Well, the reason I'm wearing it, you have to have the vented hat on the course. Like it breathes. It's a hot day, so of course I'm going to get a Titleist hat. It looks nice. I thought it looked good, but I do have a Masters polo that I won't wear golfing ever because I just disrespect it while I'm playing in the game. So I won't ever wear that while I'm playing, but I do wear it, on a casual Friday.
Right. Yeah. Well, but your Masters polo, I would imagine it's from Augusta.
Yeah, and again, my cousin Drew has done great things down there. He's had really great opportunities, and he gets me the insider's deal, as Jerry Seinfeld would say.
Have you ever been down to the tournament?
So my uncle gets the tickets every year. He gets a 7-day pass. It's a nice little deal for him. But no, I think, and that's the thing. I've never talked to him about it. I don't want to put him on the spot. I'm sure he gets approached about it a lot, so I don't want to put him on the spot. But what happens is, from what I understand, at the end of the season, because it obviously gets very hot down there and gets very brown in the summer, so they actually close the course down. I think Memorial Day weekend, they are allowed to bring in one guest of their choice per person, and his wife, my cousin's wife, actually works at the course as well. Mm-hmm. So they each get one person to come in, and you can play 18. So my uncle has gone several years, and he's played down there. So you can't hate. I mean, my uncle, much better golfer than I am. So
Well, that's the thing about playing nice courses.
Yeah, I don't
I
want to
can
play
shoot
it. I would
100 anywhere.
right, exactly.
Like it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'll get frustrated. And the last place you want to get frustrated is on Augusta National. And you want to just
Yeah.
be, I don't know if you could though. I don't know if you could. Because
Well, I would certainly be taking it all in. Like
yeah,
I think that's the whole piece. Like I don't even need to play. Like I would just like to go walk the course. Like seriously,
I'm
because
telling you,
I'd be disrespecting it.
have you ever been to a PGA Tour event?
No, and that's on the list. Like, so I was actually just reading that there's a book, Jim Garant. I think that's how you say his name. We used to write for Sports Illustrated. I was just talking about this with my father-in-law, and he wrote a book about going to like the top 10 events in sports. Like, so he went to Wimbledon, he went to Ohio State, Michigan, opening day of Fenway, Daytona 500, all these events. And I think they broke them up into chapters. So it's 10 chapters. And one of those chapters is Augusta National. And he talks about like all the tips you can do, what you need to do. And he paints, obviously a more talented writer than I could ever be, paints the picture of what it is. And obviously we've all seen it, but just having novice eyes and seeing it through that, being able to hear what it was like and just say, oh, well, you might be able to grab an afternoon ticket from this person as they're leaving the course.
Right.
And again, that's a little bit dated too. Like this book was written like 15 years ago, but again, I just being able to add to the intrigue when it comes to Augusta National, because there's so much surrounded.
It's so cool.
By it.
I mean, the Masters would be like top notch, but going to a PGA Tour event is my favorite thing to do.
So where have you been?
I've been to the BMW when it was down here in Philly. I was at the Northern Trust when it was in it was in Long Island somewhere. I was at Shinnecock, and I forget where else I was. But yeah, dude, because when I lived in New York, we would get tickets to the New York stuff more. And awesome. It's the best thing ever, because number one, being on a golf course, it's all like it's in pristine condition, right? And you're seeing these golfers and like they're playing golf, and it's a different vibe when you see them live, because on TV you're seeing the best shots with the leaders, but when you're live, there's a different pace to the day. It's not as like fast paced as you would think. And you can kind of just be like, you stand here, you look over at that hole. Oh, that's Bubba Watson playing with whoever. And you turn around and there's another hole here. And then, oh, that's that person. You grab a hot dog, you grab a beer, you walk over there, you get some exercise. It's like, dude, it's the best thing, man. It's my favorite thing on earth to do.
There's a couple, I want to go back to that in just a second, but I have a close friend from high school. He actually works for the Golf Channel, and he does like the camera operation and stuff. Like he runs like the line out to like the cameras and back to the studio on site. And he has so many freaking stories. Like he would also be another guest I should put you in touch with, because he actually is
sure.
Like honestly, he
Isn't that Tony? It's not Tony, is it?
No, my buddy Brandon. Okay. Buddy Brandon. We'll talk offline, but right. I think he would be an interesting guest, and he says whatever's on his mind. So that's just also very I don't want to get him
fired, but
well, he has a really good Natalie Gulbis story. I'll have to
all right.
See if you want to share that.
I'm in.
You're in. Piqued your interest enough there.
Yeah.
But no, going back to like attending a tour event, I was talking to my cousin who works at Augusta, and I was saying to him, have you ever been to Waste Management? Because like I feel like that's more my speed.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I get it once, but that's a different. That's there? Like a no. I'd like to go there maybe once.
Oh yeah. No, I know what you mean by that.
No, I get it. That's a faster pace. That's more of a party atmosphere. That's the exact opposite than what I'm talking about. How it's like a slow pace. Like, let's grab a beer. That's like get a beer, chug it, go back and get another beer.
Right, and scream at people and throw your beer at them.
Yeah,
like that's the.
But that is a bucket list. Has he ever been?
Bucket list thing, yeah. No. He said he's known several people who have gone, and he said exactly what we were talking about. It's just everything like what you see on like the internet videos and the TV. That's just scratching the surface,
right? I bet. But yeah, that's a bucket list one for sure.
So I was actually watching so there was a video I saw online not too long ago, and I was we're talking about like our own golf games. Like for you, like what are you? Like if you're hitting a bad shot, right? If you're out in the Lehigh Valley somewhere, like you're hitting a bad shot, like it's like those videos. I think it was a TikTok video I saw, and I hate to date myself. I do watch TikTok videos. I don't create many, but There is like the sayings that go into when you hit a bad shot. Have you seen that?
I've seen. Well, I know the things I say, but I haven't. Is it? Oh, so you mean it's like a video of what people say? All right. So what are some of the things they say?
That'll play.
Okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
You're really connected there.
Yeah. Or like, I do love that. That is the one thing I love about watching the PGA Tour this year, without fans, is that you do hear that the interaction with the player and their caddies and the ball more. Like Jordan Spieth is like always talking to his ball. Like he was just like, go, stop.
I think I even saw I might have been Spieth now that I'm thinking of it, but there was just, they were talking to their ball, and I think that just becomes a little bit more entertaining. But it does take away from the amount of Baba Booies you get off the tee. So that's the one drawback.
Right. They should have, well, that's the thing. They if at Lincoln Financial, if they can insert booing in the end zone, they should be able to insert Baba Booies and get in the holes.
Sure.
When the PGA Tour players,
let's keep this thing authentic. Come on, guys.
Yeah, right. Let's get some heckles. In fact, I was listening to ESPN the caddy Michael Collins. He's on. He's a golf commentator, and it's called Maddie and the Caddy. It's their podcast, very good podcast. And he was talking to some of the players, and that's what he said. He said some of the players are asking for noise and crowd noise to get thrown in because it's hard to get up. It's like if you're a guy like Rory McIlroy. Or the big name, the marquee names, you're used to this craziness. So it's an advantage to you when you're used to it and you're playing against this person who's not used to it. That's it's kind of it's an advantage for you. But now when it's all gone, like kind of levels the playing field a little bit.
Doesn't Bryson DeChambeau like add another 20 yards to his drive? The
that guy's I can't. He's an anomaly. I mean,
freak of nature.
That's not like a hot take, and I know, but I just can't figure him out. I don't understand because he's not like winning. I would expect him to be winning everything with his approach to the game.
Right. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, if you get it close enough to the hole on shot one, you would think the subsequent shots would be a lot easier, but I guess it just doesn't work that way. I mean, Tony Finau, how many times, like long drives that he's been put together, and I saw he was towards the top of the leaderboard this weekend, and I don't think he won, but
he's in a playoff. He should have won. He had like four. Let's give him 4 chances where he should have. You make a pretty routine shot and you win the tournament. And he just kind of let the guy hang around and lost.
But isn't that Tony Finau in a nutshell? Though?
Yeah.
Like, and I hate to be that guy. Like, I mean, that's just you want it for him because I think he's one of those guys in terms of personality, just likable guys out there on the tour. And I just his game and just his game in general is just fun to watch. But he can't put it together for a full weekend. Right?
I wonder if likability is part of it. Like, I mean, because nobody ever said that about Tiger.
Right, he's cutthroat.
Nobody ever, likability and Tiger never was in the same sentence until recently. But I just don't see. I mean, we grew up watching the same era of sports. We saw Jordan, Kobe, Tiger. There doesn't seem to be anybody with that mentality out there. And maybe we just don't see it. I don't know. It just seems to be even LeBron. Even LeBron doesn't seem to have that I'll step on your neck to win mentality.
That's a good question. Now that it's making me think, because like I mean, when you talk about competition and you talk about like the names that you think about, obviously Tiger's towards the top of that list. You think about Tom Brady, but he's also not the person who wants to stomp on your neck and asphyxiate you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like he's probably the closest. I would think he's probably the next closest to.
That's a good question.
Being ruthless in golf, they're too friendly. It seems like.
Right.
And I think it's great, but
well, you got like there's. I just think that golf is great because it's just the person, like the John Daly personalities that you have out there. Like I just remember seeing John Daly talking about wanting to get Tiger to come off the course and have a beer with him, and it never happens.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think the story that we're both thinking of and referring to, Daly goes out there and kicked his butt the next day, even though Tiger's out there, you know, working out and
right.
and playing more holes than Daly.
He said, what do you say? He's like muscle or fat. I forget something about how fat he doesn't have to work out because he's fat. I got to look up the quote. John
there's so many John Daly stories and isms out there. Like, have you ever heard him talking about? Like, I think he said he's played golf with, you know, President Trump and President Clinton, and like people ask him about what those rounds are like, and you know, is Trump the one cheating out there? No, Trump's pretty good, he said. And but he's like slick Bill, slick Willie out there.
yeah.
He takes a couple mulligans off the tee.
He said, "You can pull a muscle, but you can't pull fat." That's John Daly's. That's about right. That's. I read his book. I think it's called In the Rough.
That would be on point.
Yeah. It's a wild book. Some of his stories, like from pre PGA Tour days, like Sunshine Tour days, and like South Africa, they're just lawless stories. And that's kind of thing. That's honestly why I started this podcast, because I've been working in golf for, probably 10 years. And I've also been doing stand-up for 10 years. And you would think that my time doing stand-up would have introduced me to more wild characters, but no.
I told you that there was going to be some hiccup in the day. I think I locked my wife out. Give me 1 second.
Only locks his wife out to record an episode of the Teed Up podcast. I found this is my favorite episode by far. It would have to feel intentional. It would have to feel intentional. Just, I might have to mute it because I don't want to.
Ow, that hurt. So literally don't get a neighbor to ever come to my door, and my neighbor ticks right now to come to my door. So I apologize to everybody out.
Did you lock your wife out? I thought you came back.
The door was unlocked.
I thought you said that hurt because like you got in trouble because you locked your wife out of the house.
No, I hit my knee on the table as I sat back down. But no, my neighbor never comes to the door, but today he'll pick as I have on my podcast.
Yeah, but I forget what was.
So I apologize.
I don't even. What was I talking about? John Daly,
Woods.
Tiger. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. We've officially gone off the rails. So
yeah, how about this? In the rough or on whatever we were talking about. The only book I read. That's what it was. The only book I read. But yeah, no. What were you about to say?
No, I did. So I had like one of these thoughts. I was like writing down things to talk about when I came here. Like, so I wanted to get your opinion, because one thing that I've kind of started doing, and there's one close by. I do want to get your opinion on Topgolf. Is that like a faux pas in the golf world?
No,
like because I feel like it's like the place you take your wife and girlfriend, right?
Yeah. So I think there are people that probably feel that way. They're like, traditionalists with golf. I'm not one of these people. I think anything can be, if you're having fun, do it, right. And I don't think I think you can enjoy both things. Like I've enjoyed Topgolf and I've enjoyed regular golf. I think it would be weird to just tell, like, as I've heard people say that. I know what you're referencing. People do think it is a faux pas, but
right. Like it's not about playing 18. Like, so I try to like, I was out in Vegas about 3 or 4 months ago, and I went to the Topgolf out there just because I was looking for something to do. Like Vegas, first of all, is shut down right now. Like there is, there's like nobody in the casinos. It was kind of sad, but we went out there, my wife and I, and we went out to, just enjoyed, a couple drinks and just hitting, and that's how I kind of introduced her. Like, this is what I've been doing all summer.
Yeah,
like this is what I'm enjoying. And like, I want to share this with you. When we talk about coordination, my wife was never blessed with that. So it'll be hard for her to pick up. But I feel like golf is a game you can play.
Yeah.
As you get older. My neighbor is 86 years old. He still gets out, in the summertime. And
he just came over. He just came over for a Weller.
That guy. Another one.
He found out you were drinking that Weller Antique, and he's like, "Get me some of that." But no, I think you're right. I think Topgolf is like the perfect way to introduce people to the game. Without it being so overwhelming, like,
Well,
okay,
right.
you want to come, we're going to go to the golf course. It's going to be $80. You got to wear this outfit. Also, we're going to be out there for 4 hours. Bring enough balls, but don't bring too many. You have to have, but then you go to Top Golf.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and that's, I'm like the opposite of a traditionalist. Like, I don't care about, you go to a certain course that has a dress code, you follow it. You don't, you're not a dick about it. But when I go play wherever by myself, my shirt's untucked, sometimes like I'll forget a glove. It's just, I just want to have fun.
Right. But like, you're not doing that like at a tournament. Like you're only you're doing that when you get out like by yourself on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I wouldn't, you don't want to be disrespectful, but that's the cool thing about Top Golf. It's not about,
right. You can wear jeans if you want, right?
Yeah. You can wear flip-flops and just hit the ball. But right. I think by taking the approach that there's these, you can't enjoy this or that's bad for the game. I think that's the thing that's bad for the game is when if somebody has a golf club in their hands, it's probably good for the game, no matter how you slice it.
I like the way you put that. Like seriously, especially when we're talking about, right. You asked me about what golf is like here in the Lehigh Valley, right? Like we're talking about that. Like the health of golf in the game itself, I should be paramount first and foremost. Like that needs to be the conversation. If we're playing, we're exposed. It's an exposure level thing.
Yeah.
And I think the more people we can get around and get comfortable, on the course, the better for the game.
And I don't know if you went through this time, like, or if you're going through it, but like I played golf growing up, that was like, my dad took me golfing and I wasn't like a country club kid, but we went golfing. And, and I really liked golf. I was for whatever reason, I liked golf, but I got a little, like my friends who like wrestled or played football, they gave me a hard time, rightfully so. Golf is kind of boring or whatever, but now those same friends are more addicted to golf than I am. Yeah. So it was hard to get them into, so getting somebody like that interested in the game, they're not going to join a country club. They might be like, some friends are like blue collar guys that wouldn't have been exposed to golf unless they go to like a Top Golf or they go to these things. And because there's a stigma, like it's an elitist sport. Once you get past that and you go to Green Pond or Bethlehem Uni and you realize it's very welcoming. There's people of all shapes, sizes, and colors that want to play. Then it gets more, but to break through that, and without knowing that, you might not play because you're like, oh man, it's a bunch of old white guys in, khakis. And
well, I think that's how it was presented to us as we were growing up. And going back to the whole Tiger Woods thing, like that was what kind of catapulted, the popularity of the game. And made it acceptable for anybody to be out there. And even if you want to bring race into the conversation, like I think that needs to be mentioned more than anything because it really exposed a whole new audience that never really was involved in that game of golf and got them comfortable with the idea of a black guy going out there and playing 18. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that needs to be discussed. And really it kind of like having the Nike brand be associated, like Nike is cool, Jordan shoes, all that stuff growing up. Like now, like there's a whole line of clothing out there. You want to make sure you're decked out to the nines when you're going out and playing. So like, again, I think just being familiar and going back to what you were saying about, growing up playing golf with your dad. I remember, very distinctly as probably like an 8th grade student, I was at a wedding with a bunch of family members and a guy that my mom and dad are friends with, he comes over and he goes, "Oh, are you playing any sports?" And I said, "Oh, I'm playing basketball, and playing volleyball." And he goes, you should pick up golf. It's right. It's a fall sport. You're not playing football. You can play golf. Spring sports or whatever. So, and I said, golf. I'm not playing golf. Yeah. Like that's not me. Like I'm not going to play. Yeah. But like he goes, "Listen, here's what here's what I'm going to tell you, and you're going to figure it out one day." And he was 100% right. He goes, if you want to be successful in life, like a lot of things happen on the golf course. If you want to get into the world of business, things happen on the golf course. This is a way that people like to connect and almost team build, really. Like if you're playing with a foursome, like you get to know that person who's riding in the cart with you, or you're, playing off, you're going to razz them up a little bit. Right. Like there's a certain level of camaraderie that goes with playing around the golf. And, he had it figured out. And I was, obviously dumb 8th grade kid, I wish I would have listened now. Maybe I would be much better. We'd be talking about, me playing in the 80s and 90s as opposed to triple digits right now. So,
well, yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Like, golf is something that you can play forever. You don't have to. And as far as stuff going on, you can learn a lot about somebody by playing around a golf with them. Like, you
without
could
a doubt,
their temperament, you could tell, like, their competitive nature. I bet you there's a lot of, as many business deals were made on a golf course. I bet you 10 times as many business deals fell apart because of how somebody handled themselves on the golf course. But do you think, do you like to watch golf? Are you is that something that you'll put on?
So yeah, for the majors, although I did watch the Pebble Beach Pro-Am a little bit, mostly because I think that's another thing that we should probably talk about too, because I think I messaged you, like I threw a couple bucks on Cantlay to win the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that's a whole nother way that people can get involved in the game of golf, just making it interesting. Like, obviously I'll watch if I have some money on the line, like, and if you do it, if you put that bet in on a Thursday before the tournament starts, you get some great odds, right?
Great odds.
So like, yeah, I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. And you're seeing a lot more now. And obviously I'm gonna work in a promo for myself here in a second. But I think the important thing to know that is there are so many different things going on in the world of sports betting here in Pennsylvania now that is just making it so easy. So if you got the BetMGM app, type in the promo code Mike R. I'll just throw that out there, and then you can get some money back in your. I think it depends.
I do want to. Seriously, that's a great segue, because I'm fascinated with the world of sports betting right now. I do it. I play around with it, but it's crazy how that world has transformed over the past. Feels like 3 years, 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, no.
Sports betting was like taboo not that long ago.
For somebody who went to Easton High School, you used to have to go down to the circle and find someone who would take a couple. And I'm not into. I was never into it growing up. I was never into, like, putting any money on anything growing up. But it's very convenient now as an app. You download, whatever it is, FanDuel, BetMGM, or DraftKings, whatever you use. There's so many different services out there, and it's been it's funny because if you're ever looking into the world of politics, and I don't want to get right, left, or anything, but corruption is abound in politics, because think about it. Like, you used to have to go searching for, a gram of marijuana, or you used to have to go searching for, liquor, as a kid. You used to have to go search for gambling opportunities. This is all brought to you by your federal government now.
Yeah. I mean, but do you think, and I know you just plugged your app, but
whatever. That withstanding, it's unbelievable. It's in your face more than ever now.
But do you think that's good for sports? And because it's a two-parter. Do you think it's good for sport? Because somebody that might not watch, let's use golf as the example. Somebody that might not watch golf because they enjoy golf might watch the tournament because they have some money on the line. But does that added viewer dilute the fan the fan pool? Like, does it make the sport better? Or if it doesn't take anything away, then it doesn't take anything away.
No, I think it enhances the individual viewing experience for the person that's putting the money down, but I don't think it takes away from the sport at all, because the people who are really religious about whatever sport you're watching are usually there in person. Like, I'm a huge college football guy. Like, I'm there in person. I don't care that guy 2 seats down from me is betting on Penn State to win or whatever. Like, that doesn't bother me. Like, I just really want people to realize that it does make it a little bit more interesting. It's also very dangerous too. Like, I don't want to be naive in the fact that there are some bad things that are associated too. But I think, in terms of diluting the sport at all, I don't think it does that, personally.
What about coverage though? Like, on a Sunday football coverage, sometimes it feels as though they focus less on the game and some of the nuances of the game, and more focus is on fantasy, on these, because those are the guys, those are the companies that are are paying for the ad space, right? So you do that. But do you think that tailoring sports coverage, leading up to the NFL game of the night, talking about who's going to score more points on your fantasy team, is that more important than like figuring out because back in the day you never would hear anything. It was just about, their stats, what
I think you can over the past 25 years, I think you can tie the success and the popularity of the NFL directly to fantasy. I think people like that aspect of it. It brought more people to the game, not just sports betting. That's not just like plus 7 on the Eagles to win.
Fantasy football team.
Right. Just fantasy in general, being able to have that social component, being able to, beat up on your guys, your friends, and just being able to say, hey, I had Adrian Peterson the year he ran for 2,000 yards. And that was the reason I won the championship. And that's something that I have a fond memory about.
Right.
Yeah. Those are, I think, fantasy first, but then recently, within the last, 3-4 years, 5 years, sports betting has also increased that whole thing as well. So, I think in tandem, they both have
you're right.
allowed the growth.
Because I do remember, like, as a kid, I remember my dad. I remember going as a family down to Philly. My dad's friend would host the fantasy football draft. I mean, and they were literally picking. It was like paper. It wasn't.
Yeah,
it was no computers.
And you used to have to wait for the paper on Monday to see who the stat line was.
Yep. And then you would fill it out. So I guess I've never heard it put like that, where you like because there's no doubt that the NFL is a monster in ratings, right?
Sure.
And I guess that fantasy football has been directly, because the other sports haven't had it, right?
Well, fantasy baseball was, I think, first, but baseball, the way the game's played, I think detracts a little bit away from the popularity. Kids nowadays are watching the NBA. It's a little more fast paced. NFL sticking around. It's still the king. But Major League Baseball, there's a couple different things that prevent it from being, the direct. The fantasy isn't really helping Major. I mean, I play fantasy baseball. I do like fantasy baseball. I enjoy the game of baseball, but I am also a 38-year-old white male. And that really doesn't,
you didn't. NBA wasn't in the cards.
Well, no. I loved the NBA growing up. I was a huge Seattle SuperSonics fan, and then they broke my heart. Yeah.
How do you become a Seattle SuperSonics fan?
Yeah, I don't know how that became about. I think I got the Kamikazes, the Sean Kemp Kamikazes growing up, the Reebok sneaker. But no, I had the jersey, I had the starter jacket, the whole bit. I like Sean Kemp. Detlef Schrempf was huge. I love the way he played the game.
Who was the guard? Who was the other? Oh, Gary Payton, right?
Payton, yeah, the glove.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of. But again, I think basketball in the '90s was just a whole different thing. With the Jordan area, the Bulls. It was a whole, and then of course like the early '90s with the Lakers too.
And as somebody that covers sports, do you find it sometimes? Because I'm sure you have your favorite teams and athletes. Do you find it hard to be objective in your own coverage?
When it comes to Penn State football, I will say, yeah. I will say, but mostly because I'm yelling about whatever's happening. So many expletives that get thrown around here on Saturday.
There's a lot of dumping going on, right? When you're doing a show on Penn State football.
Well, right. It's almost like a therapy session. I think that any Monday morning and during football season, Monday show during a football season is someone's therapy session, whether it be
you just don't have to pay a copay, right? That's the only difference.
It's a real cheap therapy session. That and Twitter, right?
Yeah, right. But that's part of the job, right? You got to kind of stay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how sometimes people get in trouble.
The great ones know how to do it. It's not as hard as you think. And honestly, even when it comes to Penn State, for me, like I'm very transparent. I know when to call them out on when they're being terrible. I know when to give them credit when they're not. Like I'm not this person who, just because my degree says Penn State, I have to defend them blindly. Obviously, I was very critical around circa 2011 when things came out.
Yeah.
It's because you have to be, and that in the middle of being when that Joe Paterno story broke, I mean, as gutting as it was, I remember my grandfather had a picture of him and Joe Paterno, back at his house, and that was gutting as a family, but at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to defend what happened.
And as somebody that covers sports, you could discredit your future opinions if you just blindly stand by somebody for the sake of your own fandom, right?
Well, and at the end of the day, you're a fan. Like, that's it. Like, you're not. They don't pay my salary. They don't. That team doesn't pay my salary. I don't owe them anything. But you do have emotions that are tied to certain things. So you just have to be able to separate that.
And speaking of, like, okay, people that like sports, I guess there's a difference between sportscasters and sports anchors, right? Like, what would Stephen A. Smith? What would you consider him? Like a pundit? Is he a sports pundit?
He's just opinionated in general.
Do you think that type of coverage is too?
It's irresponsible. It's irresponsible, honestly. Well, and I just and you can kind of, again, I'm not trying to get political, but you can carry that right over to the news side of things too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I say that to my wife all the time. Like, hey, what you're watching. Like, I don't. She'll watch CNN religiously. Like, and she'll listen to, whatever CNN says. I said, if you're listening to just CNN, you're not getting the full side of the argument. Okay.
Right.
You need to be listening to Fox. You need to listen to MSNBC. You need to listen to talk radio. You need to do all that, your own research. And what Stephen A. Smith is sports entertainment. He's an entertainer. He's trying to drive up page views. He's trying to get clicks on his Twitter profile. He's trying to just be silly. Like, he's out there having fun with it. It's not my brand. Like, I understand that there's a lot of, like, you have to stand out a little bit, in this crowded area of sports, quote unquote, journalism. But you also don't have to be silly about it. Like, doesn't it hurt people that do it the right way? Because it's harder. Like, somebody that has it the right way, like, they don't care about Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, true.
But they're also not getting Stephen A. Smith's salary. So Stephen A. Smith gets paid several $1 million to do. And again, this isn't me hating on Stephen A. Smith. I think there's a place for Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless.
Yeah, Skip Bayless.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that pay to watch that kind of stuff, and they're paid to create controversy, and to create more clicks onto ESPN.com, and that's their role, and that's why they get paid accordingly, because advertisers want people to see their ad on ESPN.com, FoxSports.com. So again, it's all a big dance, you mentioned sportscasters, like, so people. So like Joe Buck or Troy Aikman, who are doing like the Cowboys game on 4:15 on a Saturday, or excuse me, a Sunday, and like, they're not going to get into the silliness. They're going to get in there and bring you a quality broadcast. They're going to state the facts. They're going to show you what's happening. They're going to tell you why it happened. And again, I think it's a crowded space, but there's enough room for everybody.
Who does it the best, in your opinion?
In what capacity?
Both, in the sportscaster and in a.
It's funny. I listen to a lot. I love Colin Cowherd, and that's not just me saying that because we're a Fox affiliate. I do love Colin Cowherd. I know he's stepped on his tongue a couple times in the past, but I think I connect with him. I also listen to, if I want to laugh and I want to hear a unique perspective, an elevated age perspective, I listen to Chris Russo, the Mad Dog. I don't know if I would say I respect. I mean, I think he's been doing it long enough that you have to give him credit for what he's done. And then just like play-by-play guy, like, I don't know, like, I grew up with, I'm a Niners fan growing up in the 80s. So yeah, sorry, bud.
Man.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the 80s, but so like
okay. Joe
Starkey, who was the play-by-play guy for the Niners for many years. You'll know.
Don't tell me you're an Atlanta Braves fan too.
No.
All right,
Red Sox, even worse. Listen, so here, quick stories on fandoms real quick. So Joe Starkey, let me get back to that really quick. 49ers fan growing up, Joe Starkey, you know him from the Stanford Cow play, the band is out on the field. That's him. And he was a little bit of a flamboyant kind of, like, he got in your face. I thought he did it. It was entertaining. So I enjoyed the play-by-play for Joe Starkey. But when we're talking about fandom, I always say when it comes to fandom, I never watched baseball until the 04 ALCS. So I will tell you flat out that I am a bandwagon Red Sox fan and I embrace it. Okay. But the reason I still continue to be a Red Sox fan is because they brought me to baseball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, I owe them my allegiance because I was running home from my classes while I was a student to see that ALCS.
Listen,
I was telling people I was a Rockies fan prior to that. I didn't care about baseball. I wasn't a Phillies fan because I knew I'd be outsmarted by my classmates who knew, whoever was on the roster. I didn't know who they were.
I don't mind bandwagon fans. Like I remember when the Eagles were making their run, and I had friends that were mad that other people started liking the Eagles because it's like I don't care how you like the team I like. We're all
I love when the Eagles are good because it makes my job really easy.
Oh, I bet.
No, but I do.
I'll take all the fans. Why would I care? Why would you get mad at somebody else for liking your team at a different time than you started liking your team? Bandwagon fans
for a reason.
That also just means your team's doing well if there's bandwagon fans. So I'll take it.
Well, I think you just, as long as, like, for you, like, as a fan of that team, like I think for the Eagles is a unique perspective though, because my brother lives in Philly, so I get it all the time. So it's a unique fan base, Philadelphia in general, across all sports. I can understand why certain Eagles fans wouldn't want bandwagon fans, but I'm of the opinion of what you said is right on, because when the Niners were playing in the Super Bowl 2 years ago against the Chiefs, I was welcoming Niners fans to the bandwagon for Eagles fans. And,
there's no the fandom is it's not a finite resource. Like it's not like if you become a fan, I have to become less of one. Right. So but yeah, Philadelphia is just a weird. It's just an odd. I mean, I was at an Eagles game with my ex-college girlfriend, and it was me, and I was probably 21, and it was me, her mom, and her it's her cousin, but he was like probably 10 at the time. And we took the train. She went to Temple, and we took the train from Temple to the Link, and the Eagles got beat by the Bears. So we're getting back on the train, and we're all Eagles fans piling into this train. And this guy just starts fighting me. He's just mad. He's just mad that it happened. He's mad that I'm wearing the jersey of the guy that threw the interception that made it happen. And even though he forgot he's wearing the guy's jersey who would have dropped the ball if the interception didn't happen. So he's just mad. And I'm just like, this is insane to me. We should just be like going home, but we're going to fight each other. The fans are going to fight. It just doesn't seem like it would happen anywhere else, but I guess it does.
And we all have our Philadelphia sports story. I'll give you one real quick. I remember every year we would go. My dad's a Cowboys fan, believe it or not. We would go to the Eagles Cowboys game. And obviously, I didn't have a rooting interest. I'm a Niners fan, so I would go just every year. We would be in the 700 level at Veterans Stadium,
baby.
And I was at the Michael Irvin game when he got hurt, and I will never forget this guy down probably 2 rows over probably about 6 seats. I'll never forget him. He goes, "Pick up his purse and get him off the field." Guy had like a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
Pick up his purse and get him off the field. That same game, we're leaving, and my dad gets so many. I'm like probably 8, 9 years old. My dad is getting beer cans thrown at him because he's stupid enough to wear his Cowboys starter jacket. That's traumatic for like
my God.
Dad getting hit by beer.
So he took you to the game, and he's wearing his that's like child services should have been called.
Right, exactly.
Like you should have got taken away for that.
Well, listen, it gives us a lot of stories to look back on, and I'll never forget taking the Bieber bus down to the old Veterans Stadium, and it gets you to have that love for sports, and I'm glad I went through those days. Yeah. It was great.
I mean, I went down for the Phillies World Series after they won. I was down there for the parade and after, and then I went down for the Eagles parade, and definitely things you'll never forget. You'll never forget. But hey, man, this was fun. Plug your show. Saturday, Fox Sports. Saturdays at from 1 to 1.
So 9 to 10, just St. Luke's Sports Medicine Roundup. It's we try to get creative with it because it's sports and sports medicine. It's sponsored by St. Luke's, but we have a lot of really good healthcare providers that are sports fans, and it creates kind of like we had a guy on last week, and he's a huge Sixers fan, and he's like giving me the breakdown on the roster, and it's kind of interesting to hear. We've had some really great guests. Hall of Famer Steve Carlton's been on the show. David Akers has been on the show. Like we've had some really good times. So it's 9 to 10 every Saturday. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm up there right here. I'm at Mike Raymond LV. Follow Fox Sports Radio, Lehigh Valley LV Fox Sports on Twitter. Yeah, and I'm out there. Like right now, I'm doing a lot of like high school stuff. Like I'm doing high school basketball, Schuylkill League on Friday. So you can see what I'm up to. Just follow me on Twitter. And I always love talking with people. Like when people try to interact with me on Twitter, I always try to respond. Like I throw out some random stuff. Like it's not all sports. I was like looking for the best pizza place on National Pizza Day in the Lehigh Valley. First of all, what's your pizza place in the Lehigh Valley? And are you like a brick oven guy, or are you just like New York slice?
I like them. I like it all. I'm not partial, but I'm trying to think.
Like I like Broad Street pizza for like a Sicilian pie. That's pretty good.
Yeah, there's Westgate
this for like
Westgate, very good.
Yep.
So I probably have a favorite for each style. There's a place called Jack's Pizza that makes a really good.
Jack's Slice?
No. Okay. That's good too. Jack's is over on 191.
Okay.
So it makes a really good grandma's pie and Sicilian.
I like what you're talking about.
But my favorite pizza is German, as a German pie. You ever had a German pie?
Well, that's like my wife's favorite pizza. Her and her dad, because they're German, they like the German pie, and it's okay. It's
the banana peppers and everything.
Banana peppers and the chip steak on it. Yeah,
that's my favorite type of pizza. I did have I like to experiment. I had a pickle pizza, which was okay. It's okay. It's okay. Probably wouldn't do it again. But my best
fried pickles or just regular pickles.
Just pickles, and then dill pickles on a pizza, and I forget it was good for like a bite. Any more than 2 bites, you're like, all right.
Right, you're not getting the large.
But yeah, my favorite, if we're talking plain slice,
like I think it's Westgate because they're really good New York slice. But you know what? It comes with some tude. Like those people over there, they got some attitude.
Oh yeah. You got it. That's part of the
charm.
It's part of the charm. Yeah. I think I agree with you.
Go right over there.
Lehigh Pizza, but I think Westgate Pizza is my top dog too. All right. Head over to Stoke too. You ever been to Stoke and Easton? They got some pretty good artisan pizzas.
I'm not trying to hate on Stoke, but I've had a couple bad experiences. They have really good wings, I will say.
The wings are good. The wings are very good.
But there's been several times I've gone and they've run out of pizza dough. So like twice it happened.
Just shows how good the pizza is.
Or how ill prepared you are to run. But it would be one thing if it was like 11 o'clock. It was like 4 p.m.
Oh man.
So no, I'm not trying to hate on. Like I understand, like things happen.
Yeah.
Be that. And the pizza that I have had from there is very good.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm with you on Westgate as being the best plain slice, pound for pound champion in the Lehigh Valley.
Try Broad Street Sicilian. Talk to me.
Where is this at?
Broad Street Pizza. It's on West Broad between 4th and 5th, I believe, right across from the fire station.
I'm doing. Yeah. You'll get a tweet this week.
All right, that sounds like a
tweet
plan,
about
man.
this week.
Hey Ben, thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Dude, yeah, we'll do this again for sure.
Absolutely.